Welcome to the deep dive. You ever have those huge, amazing ideas, those big dreams, but then actually, doing something about them, especially when it involves money, feels hard?
Yeah, it's that gap, isn't it, between the vision and the reality. A lot of people experience this. You might call yourself a dreamer.
Exactly. And if that sounds like you, maybe you feel stuck sometimes, like you're hitting snooze on your own ambitions, well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're diving deep into why this happens.
Right. We're going to explore the psychology behind that dreamer mindset, look at how it impacts your finances specifically, and then really get into practical ways you can bridge that gap.
And we've pulled insights from discussions about the dreamer mindset, some great strategies on moving from dreamer to doer with your finances, and Ramit Sethi's take on the dreamer money personality.
Our mission here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Give you the insights, maybe a fresh perspective so you can move from just thinking about the life you want to actually actively building it.
Okay, let's jump in. Where does this whole dreamer mindset even begin? What are its roots?
Well, a lot of it seems to trace back to our childhoods, actually. Think about the environment you grew up in. Were there adults around who were also big dreamers? Maybe there was a sense that, things would just sort of work out.
So it could be learned behavior,
Hmm.
like absorbing that optimism, maybe without seeing the action part modeled.
Precisely. That family dynamic, where maybe the doing part wasn't emphasized as much as the dreaming part, can set a pattern early on.
Hmm, makes sense.
And then there's the idea of dreaming as a kind of self-protection.
Hmm.
For a kid, especially if things feel uncertain, retreating into big, positive dreams can feel safe. It's a way to feel hopeful.
Okay, like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, potentially. It can even become a way to get, say, attention or positive feedback without needing to put in a ton of effort and risk failing at something concrete. The dream itself feels good.
So the dream provides a reward without the actual achievement.
Interesting. Exactly. And if, on top of that, a child doesn't really face consequences for not following through, maybe they're indulged or things just work out anyway, they might not develop that crucial link between dreaming and the necessity of taking action.
Right. If there's no real downside to inaction, why push yourself to act? The motivation might not fully kick in.
You got it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the brain for a second. Specifically, the amygdala, your brain's fear center.
Okay.
For some people with this dreamer tendency, the idea of taking real steps, putting something out there, facing potential failure, that can subconsciously feel like a threat of maybe rejection or not being accepted.
Wow. So it's not just physical danger, but social danger too. Like the fear of what people might think if you try and stumble.
Exactly. The amygdala might perceive that risk and kind of push you back towards the safety of just dreaming, where you don't have to face that potential judgment or failure. It's almost protective in a way.
That's a really different way to frame it. Not lack of willpower, but maybe an overactive protective instinct.
It could be part of the picture, yeah. And this links to pain avoidance too. If you've had bad experiences before when you did take action, maybe something failed, maybe you got criticized, your brain learns, it might start associating action with that negative feeling.
And so it defaults back to dreaming, which feels safer and pain-free.
Right. It's like, nope, tried that, didn't like it, let's stick to the nice thoughts.
Okay. And you also mentioned the influence of like the content we consume.
Yeah, that's another piece. If you're naturally drawn to very optimistic, visionary stuff, which is great in itself, it can sometimes reinforce the dreaming part without equally emphasizing the practical how-to part. You can end up in a bit of an echo chamber of possibilities.
Feeding the dream
Yeah.
without necessarily feeding the action plan. Okay, so we see where it might come from. What about the money side? What are the financial realities for someone stuck in that dreamer mode?
This is where Ramit Sethi's concept of the dreamer money personality is really insightful. A key trait is this deep-seated belief that financially, everything will be okay, that some big opportunity is always just about to happen.
That optimism, while good, can maybe mask underlying issues.
It definitely can. It can make dreamers particularly attracted to things that look like shortcuts, get-rich-quick schemes, maybe volatile investments, business ideas that sound too good to be true.
Because they promise that big win without the slow, steady effort.
Exactly. They tap right into that hope for an easy path. And this often connects to a lack of, let's say, long-term financial accountability. Because they believe things will work out, they might not feel the urgency to track spending, save consistently, or have a solid debt repayment plan.
So they might lean on others, like family or a partner, or maybe rack up debt, assuming that future big break will fix everything.
That's a common pattern described in the sources, yeah. The day-to-day financial management can unintentionally fall onto someone else while the dreamer focuses on the potential future success.
I can see how that would cause major friction in relationships. One person dealing with the here and now, the other focused on a maybe future.
Huge potential for stress and resentment there, absolutely. It creates a real disconnect. The dream can become almost a shield against dealing with the current financial reality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the core message here is that big dreams are fantastic, but they need a foundation. They need to be grounded in real-world financial habits and planning. Otherwise, they just stay dreams.
Okay, the picture is clear. We see the roots, we see the financial pitfalls. So the big question, how do we bridge that gap? How do you go from mostly dreaming to actually doing?
Right, the practical stuff. First off, it's not about killing the dreamer in you, that visionary quality. That's a strength. The key is to consciously add a grounded element. Embrace the dreamer, but empower the doer within you.
Okay, so harness the vision, but channel it into action. How do we start doing that internally?
Start by tweaking your self-talk. Notice if you're just thinking, this idea is amazing, and add and I have the ability to make it happen with smart steps. Use those visionary skills to create exciting goals, but then immediately ask, okay, what's the reality check here? What's the first step?
I like that. Actively building in the reality check.
And change your language. Move away from passive stuff like opportunities will find me to more active phrasing like I'm creating opportunities or I'm preparing myself for opportunities. It's a subtle but powerful shift.
From waiting to participating. Got it. What's next?
This one's crucial. Connect inaction to present pain. Dreamers often don't feel the immediate sting of not acting because of that belief that things will work out eventually. So you need to consciously identify the real negative consequences happening now or very soon because you're not taking action.
Like what kind of thing?
It could be that low-level anxiety you feel about money, even if you push it away, or feeling stagnant, or seeing opportunities pass you by. Maybe it's the tension you feel in your relationship around finances. Make those consequences concrete and immediate in your mind.
So bring the future pain into the present focus.
Exactly. Tell yourself directly, if I don't do this small thing today, that anxiety I feel, it gets worse. That opportunity, it might be gone. Make that link really strong.
Okay, focusing on avoiding near-term pain instead of just chasing a distant reward, that feels more motivating somehow. But what about when the goals still feel huge and scary? How do we start?
Tiny habits, or minimum viable actions MVAs. This is about breaking down those massive, overwhelming goals into the absolute smallest possible step. Something so easy, it feels almost silly not to do it.
So small that your brain doesn't freak out.
Precisely. You want to bypass that amygdala fear response. Make the action feel completely non-threatening.
Okay, give me some examples, like really tiny.
Right. Instead of fix all my finances, maybe it's just open my banking app for 1 minute today. Not even analyze it, just open it. Instead of build a huge business, maybe it's spend 10 minutes searching for potential customer emails. Instead of save for a house, it could be automate a $10 transfer to savings right now.
Wow, okay. That does sound ridiculously achievable.
That's the whole point. Lower the barrier so low you just step over it without thinking. It builds momentum.
And how do you keep that momentum up, just doing tiny things forever?
Well, you build on them, but critically, you reward yourself and track it. Finished your tiny habit. Give yourself a small, immediate pat on the back, listen to a song you love, take 5 deep breaths, whatever feels good. Create that positive link with action. And keep a simple log, even just a check mark on a calendar. Seeing those check marks pile up counters that feeling of getting nowhere.
Ah, the positive feedback loop. Small action, small reward, visible progress leads to more action. Okay, what about bigger tasks that aren't easily shrunk down?
Systems. This is huge for dreamers. Automate everything you possibly can, especially finances. Set up automatic transfers to savings, investments, bill payments. Let the system be your manager for the routine stuff.
So the essential things happen without you needing to constantly remember or exert willpower.
Exactly. It frees up your mental energy to focus on the big picture, the creative ideas, knowing the basics are handled. It's like building guardrails for yourself.
That makes so much sense. Build an infrastructure. What about getting help from others? Accountability.
Super helpful, but you need the right kind of accountability partner. Not just someone who cheers on your dreams, but someone who understands your dreamer tendencies and can gently nudge you towards action.
Someone who asks the how question.
Yes, someone who listens to the vision, then asks, okay, great, what's the very next tiny step? When will you do it? They encourage the small actions, not just the big dream. Talk to mentors, coaches, or find someone focused on action and systems.
Finding that balance of support and grounding. Okay, let's dig into those financial systems a bit more. Specific strategies for dreamers.
First, really own that dreamer money personality. Know your strengths, the optimism, the vision, but be honest about the weaknesses, overlooking details, chasing shortcuts, maybe relying on others. That self-awareness is step one.
Got to know yourself first. Okay, then what?
Uncover your invisible scripts about money, those deep beliefs you have, like money should be easy or I'm meant for big things so I don't need to worry about the small stuff. Journal about them. Where did they come from? Are they actually helping you now?
Bringing the subconscious stuff into the light? That sounds powerful. What about managing money with a partner, given the potential issues?
Regular money dates. Seriously. Set aside time, maybe once a month, where you both talk openly, without judgment, about financial dreams, worries, the current status, spending priorities. Get on the same page.
Communication, communication, communication. Got it. And the actual mechanics. The nuts and bolts.
Automate like crazy. The set it and forget it approach. Multiple accounts. One for bills essentials, one for emergency savings, one for investments. Maybe even a big dream fund. Then set up automatic transfers feeding into each of them right after you get paid.
Takes the decision-making out of it each month. Smart. How about spending? Budgets feel restrictive.
Forget restrictive budgets. Think conscious spending plan. A rough guide could be 50–60% of income for fixed costs, 10% plus for savings, investing, some for debt if you have it, and then crucially 20–35% for guilt-free spending on things you love. Identify your money dials, the 3 to 5 things you adore spending on, and fund those generously by cutting back hard on stuff you don't care much about.
Aligning spending with values, not just restriction. I like that. But keeping track. How do you do that without getting lost in spreadsheets?
Know your key numbers, but keep it simple. What's your approximate monthly income after tax? What's your total debt? What's your rough net worth? You don't need every detail, just the big picture. Use a simple app if that helps visualize it easily.
Focus on the vital signs, not every single cell.
Okay.
And connecting this back to the big dreams.
Break those huge dreams into smaller, exciting, achievable goals. Not just be rich, but invest $200 extra this month or earn $100 from my side hustle idea by next Friday. Make them specific and time-bound. They become stepping stones you can actually reach.
Makes the big vision feel less overwhelming and more like a journey with milestones. We keep circling back to action. What kind of actions first?
Consistent small steps. Don't wait for perfect. Open the account. Do 15 minutes of research. Have the money talk. Use the 85% solution act even if it's not perfectly planned out. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time.
Get moving, even if you stumble a bit. Okay. And keeping it going.
Celebrate the small wins. Seriously, acknowledge them. You automated a transfer. Awesome. You tracked your spending for a week. Fantastic. Recognize the effort. It fuels the next step.
Right. The positive reinforcement, again, it all ties together. So wrapping this up.
Look, the main thing is you don't have to choose between being a dreamer and being a doer. You can absolutely be both. It's about finding that balance, grounding your vision with practical action, and building simple systems to support yourself.
And realizing it's a process, right? It takes time, patience, maybe some trial and error, and being kind to yourself along the way. Just listening to this, being aware, that's a huge first step.
Absolutely. So maybe leave you with this thought. What's just one tiny habit, one ridiculously small action linked to your biggest dream that you could commit to doing every day for the next week? Just one. Think about how starting that tiny snowball rolling could actually begin to change things, bridging that gap between where you are and where you want to be. Consider the quiet frustration of staying put versus the feeling, even the small feeling, of moving forward.